Hello. So on today's little video, I'm going to be doing the movie I promised to make when I posted my last video. God, what was it about? Oh, what was my last video? Um, my last video was... Oh yeah, House of the Dragon. So, in my last video I promised to make a movie review, and here I am making it. I'm also wearing my retainers, so I might slur a bit more than normal, but that's okay. So this is a movie I saw the year it came out in 2016, and I guess I was 14. So I saw it in middle school, and I really liked it. And then many years go by, and then I rewatch it again in 2025, and I really liked it again, and now I just watched it for the third time, and I really liked it again. So, what I have to say about this movie is it's like an under talked about and appreciated movie about, a part of business history. People probably don't even think about, like, how did McDonald's come to be. And it's a really entertaining, inspirational, and, it's a bit of a moral conundrum, at least when you see it the first time. I think when you see it the first time, you sympathize a lot with the two brothers who sort of had the first restaurant idea but kind of get pushed out of the business. And then I think when you watch it a few more times, you're like, oh no, this is just business. So, I don't even know why I said that. I should have just waited or read the synopsis. So basically, this is a movie about never being down and out. It's about how even a 50-year-old man who has had like very mild success in life, nothing of note, can still make it and be ambitious and actually succeed. So Ray Kroc is played by Michael Keaton, who's an actor I really like. I wish he was in more stuff. He's married to this old shrew of a woman named Laura Dern. No, her name's Ethel. And she's played by an old shrew named Laura Dern. I'm not a fan of Laura Dern. I just don't like her face. But I also don't like her in this movie. She played Admiral Bitchface, as I've heard in a YouTube video. She's gotta be a lesbian. She was Admiral Lesbian, and she didn't leave a good impression on me in that movie. And, they have a simple life, but he's out selling milkshakes and are milkshake makers, and nobody basically wants to buy from him, and he's kind of stuck in this, like, terrible life where he just, like, works all the time and never accomplishes much. And then, he gets a big order from this little restaurant called McDonald's, and he goes to San Bernardino County to see it, and he basically falls in love with it, and he convinces the brothers to allow him to be head of franchising and basically do all the work for them franchising it. But he essentially signs like a really bad deal where he gets basically nothing, and neither do the brothers get much. It's like a very bad business deal for everybody, but he does it because he's like convinced that like this is his big break. This is what's going to make his dreams come true, to be a success. And basically he can't do anything without getting their signatures. So it's a very kind of controlling business relationship. So he begins building in Des Plaines, Iowa, and he's like trying to get investors, and essentially his wife is very disinterested in everything revolving around him because she thinks he's too ambitious, but at this moment she kind of like supports him and says like, I know he's had ideas that didn't work out in the past, but this one is different. And this helps him, so he's happy about it. And Ray encounters the same poor management ethic which doomed the original franchise efforts. Ray hits on the idea of franchising to middle-class investors who are more likely to be hands-on and willing to follow the McDonald's formula. Ray puts the franchisee directly into the workspace, working alongside the staff. Croc sees rapid gains and continues to expand, traveling to St. Paul. Hey, shout out to Minnesota. I'm going there next week. I'm going to make a vlog, I'm pretty sure. Back to my home state, to oversee the first opening in the Twin Cities. So basically, things are going well. He's spreading, and he meets this woman in Minnesota, and they're like immediately smitten with each other, but they're both married. And despite the fact he's putting in loads of work and having success, like, he's not making any money because his contract is awful. And he tries to renegotiate. They don't let him do anything. They basically don't want to make any changes. They don't really care about anything other than their one store. And so the bank calls his home. His wife discovers that her husband put the house up as collateral without her knowledge, which means the bank can seize it if they go under with the business, or they can't pay their payments. And then Croc kind of breaks the news to her that he wants a divorce, but it's mainly because he's in love with this other girl. This is kind of a hard scene to watch. The main character, Ray Kroc, is definitely an anti-hero. In my opinion, I don't think he's the villain. I think he is definitely the protagonist. He's just like ruthless, so he comes off as a villain to some people, but I'll talk more about that near the end. So he does a bunch of stuff like changing the milkshakes to powder to save money, and he's basically like poking the bear now, and he's not following his contract, and he creates a new company to buy up land and then release it to the franchisees, basically bypassing his contract and allowing him to make money for expansion. Then one of the brothers has like a heart attack and goes to the hospital, and Ray visits them there and says like, this is a blank check. I'll buy out, the company and the contract. He does, gives them $2.7 million each, or no, $2.7 million total, which I think is like $30 million or something nowadays, and they agree to this royalty, but only on a handshake. So today it would be like a couple $100 million a year. So yeah, instead offers it as a handshake. This is kind of like the punchline of the movie, like the oh shit moment. Like, that's what he saw in it. It's like Dick and Croc talking in the bathroom, and Croc is kind of the conquering general. He beat them, he bought out their business, he's in charge now. And he explains when Dick asks him, why didn't you just like rip us off instead of, working for us and buying it? And he says that you still don't get it. It's the name McDonald's, and that just signifies America. And then it's kind of sad ending. They have to change the name of the restaurant. Yeah, and meanwhile, Croc is now married to Joan, prepares for a speech for Ronald Reagan, heavily plagiarizing a speech he listened to earlier in the film, arguing his success came from persistence. I mean, that's actually just true. And then the epilogue shows that many of the people brought along with Ray became very successful, including a fry cook named Fred Turner who became president of the company, I believe. Yeah, expanded worldwide. And that his wife gave away like 1.5 billion after he died. And it shows Kroc did not honor the handshake deal. They were never paid their royalties, which would have been over 100 million a year, and McDonald's feeds 1% of the world's population every day. This part is not exactly confirmed that there was this handshake, but I think it's a rumor. It's very interesting though. So here's the dilemma of this film. Most people, when they watch it, they'll consider this guy like the villain, the bad guy. However, I strongly argue that this is not the case. I think that anyone that looks at this from a realistic point of view, he did 99.9% of the work. The two brothers just sat there and micromanaged and tried to like slow down growth and didn't want to do anything and just kind of like had a folksy attitude where they didn't want to get ahead. He actually went out and built something and struggled and put in all the effort, and it ended up with like him creating hundreds of thousands of jobs, you know, billions in shareholder value, and his wife gave away all his money at the end. So it's like, yeah, sure, the two guys were all nice and everything, but if they had it their way, they would have had the restaurant, one location, 30 years, they would have died, the restaurant would have closed down, that's the end of it. But this guy was like a man of history. He struggled and put his heart into it, and he made something that people would remember. And look, it's a movie, it's a restaurant, it's legacy. I remember I said something about Kobe Bryant one time when he died. It was like, I was like, he didn't really die because, you know, people will be saying his name after he dies for centuries. Probably more. It's like you become immortal. So he took their name, McDonald, and made it global. That's a service in itself without the money. So I don't think Ray Kroc is the villain. I think he's an anti-hero, and I'm all for him. A very good movie. I recommend it. I give it a 9.2 out of 10. Alright, Saucy Boy out.